Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Barry Johns and this is another edition of Studio Talk. Who doesn't love getting in their car and cranking up that stereo? Hopefully you got a subwoofer in there just going doom, doom, doom. You know, the kind that's just going to rattle the whole car. You hear the trunk rattling and everything. Man, it sounds good. And I only know about you, but I got 2 volumes and 2 volumes only for my car stereo. Off or 10. Nothing else is gonna do for me. You know, I built myself a home theater upstairs, converted a room in there, used to be a little playroom for a kid before. Ultimately, I got in there, I built a back deck up, put all in the surround sound speakers and the walls and everything. I got a thumping subwoofer on there, man. I love watching movies that rumble and everything going. So, I'm being a little bit dramatic right now, but I think all of us love deep, deep, deep bass. And when you got it, man, it makes you want to rock, or thump, whatever it is that gets your mojo flowing. Nothing does it like a lot of low end at the end of the day. So you may be asking yourself this question. Hey, Barry, I got a home studio at home, man. I like to write my own music, man. I like that thump, 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 man. I want to hear that when I'm mixing, man. I want to feel the power of that bass. I want to feel that kick in my chest, man. I want it to feel great, great, great. There's only one problem. It's hard to mix with a subwoofer. So you may be asking a question. Okay, drama over. Okay, whatever. You probably already turned me off by now, but listen to me for a second. I've got a subwoofer in here. You know how many times I turn it on? 0. I don't ever use it anymore. It really serves no purpose. The majority of us out there are mixing in small spaces. We're not mixing in big 30 by 50 rooms or 30 by 40 rooms or something like that. Hopefully rectangular. That's better for mixing if you didn't know that. Odd shapes is even better. But at the end of the day, most of us are in small rooms. Okay. And there's a strong argument to be made. I mean, look, most of the mixers out there mix forever using Yamaha NS10s, which have like no bass at all. And that was a great way to mix. Even the new Auratone units, well, I plan to get me a pair of those where kind of like they're a copy of the Yamaha NS10s to be able to have a second set to balance that on here in the studio. I had another set of Mackies back there as my second set of monitors, but I sold those about a year or so ago, so I've been operating off those Adams AX7Xs back there. Fantastic monitors, by the way, but they're not cheap. Those bad boys are $1,500 each. So anyway, those are by far the best monitors I've ever owned and definitely the most expensive by far. I love those monitors. And of course, you could expect I get quite a bit of low end out of that. But at the end of the day, I think people get so fixated on low end in the studio, they forget what they're doing. Look, you're not in your car. You're not in your home theater, okay? You want to get a well-balanced mix at the end of the day. And if you've got too much low end to it, you know, it's going to turn into mud at the end of the day. You know, there's a reason sometimes why we all do the car test, right? We mix it in our studios, we go out into our car, we plug it in or push it in, however you're going to get it in there or whatever, stream it, Bluetooth, whatever. And ultimately, you want to test that mix in the car because you know what your car sounds like. You know what that stereo is. So you know what source material typically sounds like in your car. And then you get in there and hopefully you've got a space that what you hear in your mixing room translates exactly perfectly into your car. Now I have that here. It took a lot of time to get there. Now you may see most of that foam back there is not really traditional treatment. It's hiding. This whole room is covered in mirrors. This used to be a workout room and the people who owned the house before me. So I've got tons of reflective surfaces, a tile floor. So a lot of that's kind of hiding a lot of that stuff, dulling that out at the end of the day. I do have regular bass traps throughout this room back here, and this is not a big space, but I do have those. So, but ultimately, my mixes in this room translate exactly like when I put them in my car. There's no difference. I'm at a point right now, half the time I don't even waste my time going to the car anymore, unless I just want to crank it up and hear that low end because I've got a subwoofer in my car. And so I want to hear that. But oftentimes, you know, the only time that a subwoofer is really now this is my opinion, right? All of you may have a different opinion out there, but this is my opinion. The only time, if ever, I crank that subwoofer on is to just get that, that thumping sound. I want to, but at the end of the day, that's not helpful in my mix. And that can cloud my ears and just kind of get me like a little askew in my mixing if I let that get in there too much. So, it's best to keep your mixing environment straight for mixing and your listening environment for listening. And so I don't recommend most people get a subwoofer. If you've got a really big room, and even in major studios, most of the time when they've got a subwoofer in there, that's just when they've got the artist in there and they want to be able to listen to it like they normally would, and they crank on the subwoofers. But when they're mixing, rarely do they ever have that, unless of course you're mixing in surround sound. There you would need a properly tuned room with a subwoofer, because that's the way most people are going to listen to it in their home theaters. Okay, but at the end of the day, that money is well spent elsewhere. Go out and buy yourself a piece of hardware with that. If you don't have any hardware in your studio, forget that subwoofer. In this guy's opinion, then it's just my opinion. Forget that subwoofer and buy yourself a piece of hardware. Save up a little money and get yourself a Warm Audio, one of their 1176 clones. That is a great compressor for the price. Is it an actual 1176? No. Does it do a really freaking good job for the price? You betcha it does. I've got one in here and I like it and I use it all the time. I also have a distressor in here and I go back and forth between that and the Warm Audio 1176. So, I'll talk about that stuff a little bit later on, but this is not about that kind of stuff. Spend it on whatever you're going to spend it on, but at the end of the day, I would say just completely bypass a subwoofer of any kind. You just don't need it for your studio. Now, if you're just getting started in this, you're in your infancy of all this and you've got a really inexpensive set of monitors that really don't have any bass response. Maybe you've got a 6-inch woofer in there, or even smaller as an example, and you're not getting that. You still need to learn to mix on those monitors, learn what to listen for, how to figure these things out, because ultimately adding a subwoofer is probably going to give you more problems than it's worth at the end of the day. Most people don't even know how to do the proper placement in a room of a subwoofer. And so those things matter somewhat. So to get the best out of it. So I would say skip the subwoofer. Don't waste your time. Spend it on a piece of hardware that you can turn knobs and just enjoy looking at. If more than anything else, that. We all love turning knobs. I love hardware in my studio, and I'm going to be talking about that more coming up. So if you've got a subwoofer and you think I'm wrong, then go down in the comments and tell me why you think I'm wrong. If you think I'm right, then go in the comments and tell me that you agree with me. You don't have to say I'm right, because I don't really care about that. I have my opinion, you have yours. If we don't agree, we can just agree to disagree. So, at the end of the way, put your comments down there. Let me know what you think. I just think that money is better well spent on other things in your studio. Okay? So that's what I've got for subwoofers today. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you like the topics I cover here on this channel, there's that little like and subscribe thing going on down below. Hit that like button, that notification bell, and subscribe to the channel. And it really will help me grow this channel and get more content like this out there to you. Give you some things to think about, because that's what this channel is all about. Give you some things to think about in the studio. Me talk about challenges I've had, probably challenges you've already had or likely to have at some point, and hopefully I can help you avoid those. So until next time, I hope every one of you have an absolutely incredible, wonderful day. Thank you very much. See you later.